ENVE Composites recently unveiled the new M Series wheels, which they say virtually eliminate the risk of getting pinch flats. Eliminate? Really? That sounds amazing. Or wait, now that sounds impossible. Like a never-ending burrito or a French movie that somehow makes sense. In fact, I'm gonna be honest, ENVE's claims almost sound like bullshit. Yeah, that's the word, bullshit. So that's why I'm going to Ogden, Utah, to see if these claims about no pinch flats, see if there's any truth to them. But there's more than that. You see, there are bigger questions to ask here. Like, why are ENVE's wheels so damn stiff? Why do they cost so much? And are carbon wheels in general just overpriced? Because if you can afford a $2,500 or $3,000 carbon fiber wheel set, damn, your high school counselor is way better than mine. I'm Vernon Felton. I'm a tech editor at Pinkbike. I've got questions. Let's see if we can get some answers.
ENVE employs 200 workers at its headquarters in Ogden, Utah. What sets ENVE apart from a lot of brands is that they truly hand build their wheels right here in the States. Raw sheets of carbon come in one door and, after an impressive amount of handcrafting, leave as complete wheel sets. On average, ENVE builds about 250 rims per day.
Well, let's get back to this pinch flat proof wheel set. Back in 2014, ENVE rolled out their very first M Series wheels. The original M Series were wide and stiff. Actually, they were a bit too stiff. A lot of riders were pinch flatting tubeless tires on the M Series. It makes sense. The tire compresses on impact and gets sandwiched between a hard rock and a very stiff rim, and something has to give. That something would be the tire sidewall. Which leads us to these new M Series wheels. Released in late 2017, the new M Series wheels contain two features that ENVE claims radically reduces and perhaps, on a few models, even eliminates the risk of pinch flats. Now those features are, wait for it, a wider rim bead and a rim strip. Yeah, a rim strip. You might be thinking every wheel has a rim strip, so what's special here? Well, if you were expecting something more, so was I, which is why I asked ENVE about it.
So the new M Series wheels come out, right? I'm seeing the press releases, and it's like these things can virtually eliminate pinch flats. There's gotta be something more here. So let me ask you this. What does your rim strip do that other rim strips don't?
The difference is that it actually comes up, wraps over the bead, but this is not just a ghetto tubeless strip. This is like a protective rim strip that has additional functionality that improves the tubeless experience, but the main design objective was about protecting the tire and the rim from hard impacts.
But why were those original M Series wheels so damn stiff to begin with?
Part of making the best wheel is ride quality, right? Mm-hmm. And that's gotta be an aspect of this. And I remember in 2008, I interviewed Jason Shears as he was starting this company. And a big part of the promise of ENVE wheels was that the wheels were gonna be incredibly durable, but also have this amazing ride quality, right? And that's the promise of composite, that you can make something that's, you know, a little bit flexible or resilient in one dimension, incredibly stiff in the other, right? So the idea was these things are gonna have really forgiving ride qualities. And yet, ENVE has a reputation, to some degree well-deserved, for making really stiff wheels. So what's up with that?
A lot of times the harshness is, we agree that the wheel is part of your suspension system, and there is a compliance factor, but the tire and the bicycle suspension are definitely dominate that discussion. So there have been comments about, oh yeah, your wheels ride a little bit stiff, but it's definitely not.
And I mean, I've experienced. I've got like M70s on some bikes, and they do feel stiff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll run a different carbon wheel, the same tire and the same pressure, and there's no doubt about it. Like, there's a huge difference in ride quality, right? And I'm talking about vertical compliance here, right? I'm talking about, they feel to some degree harsh.
I mean, ultimately, we don't need to apologize for the first generation M Series. We were building the toughest rim we possibly could, and that was the objective. It was, the driving design parameters for that wheel set were make it tough, solve the tubeless issue. So we introduced hookless. We did those two things, and those are the main design objectives, and we succeeded at those. And yeah, I mean, we'll all openly admit, like, we all prefer the ride quality of the new rims versus the old. And with the new generation M Series, and plus with the feedback we got from riders, we have made a more comfortable, compliant rim that we would all argue has a much better ride quality. But it took us, at the time, the design and parameters around the first generation M Series made a lot of sense.
All right, enough talk. We headed into the test lab to see how ENVE's new M Series wheels fare against some brutal testing. First, we started with the 2014 era M70 Enduro wheels. ENVE's test rig drops a mandrel loaded with 85 pounds onto the M70. The drops start at 1 inch, then 2 inches, then 3 inches, you get the idea, until the tire pinch flats and ultimately the rim shows some sign of damage. To save you some time, we'll fast forward to the breaking point. Here's the original M70 taking a 5-inch drop and giving up the ghost. Next, we took another 2014 era M70 Enduro wheel and added a Huck Norris rim protector to it. Surprisingly, it didn't provide any additional protection against pinch flats and damage. Okay, next into the testing machine went the new M730 with ENVE's protective rim strip and wide rim beads. 5 inches, nothing happened. So we took it to 6 inches. The rim cracked here, but we kept going. We took it to 7, 8, and 9 inch drops. At 9 inches, the rim finally broke. Amazingly, the tire still held air. No pinch flat. Long story short, the new M730 Enduro wheel with rim strip weighs the same as ENVE's previous Enduro model, but is actually as durable and impact resistant as the previous downhill wheels. You might be thinking right about now that the test rig looks kind of weak. 85 pounds, 5-inch drops, 6-inch drops, doesn't look like much. At least that's what I was thinking, so I gently suggested as much.
So when the new M Series comes out, there's this claim that it's eliminating pinch flats. And my first thought is, bullshit. I mean, pinch flats have been around forever. And now I come and I see your test rig and there's 85 pounds on it. And you know, the high drop is like 6 inches. And I'm thinking, I weigh a hell of a lot more than 85 pounds and I do a lot more than a 6-inch drop. How is that replicating what's actually happening on the trail? How is that like a good test?
And you know, before everybody gets their panties up in a wad about the fact that this test fixture that these weights only weigh 85 pounds, and you weigh 200 or whatever it is that you weigh, you know, in the real world, you got your arms that move up and down. You know, there's a lot of travel here, there's a lot of travel here, there's a lot of travel in your suspension fork. This is meant to be a dynamic or a static lab test where we can create a baseline across all the wheels that we test against and compete against in the industry. Somebody else's test may be different, but this is our test that we use to progress the design of the wheel so that it is an improvement over whatever we were doing on the last iteration. So,
ENVE, however, doesn't simply test their wheels in the lab. They've also built a short course that's designed to break wheels. While you'd never mistake this for a stretch of Fort Bill or Val di Sole, there are G-outs embedded with rocks, a huck to flat with the rock garden in the landing, a straight G-out compression with, yeah, you guessed it, some more nasty edge rocks in it.
We understand results from the lab and how they relate to a World Cup downhill team's durability, and so how do we take them out of the lab and get some real world answers before the pros are doing that for us.
And what we'll do is after we replicate the visual failure, right, we'll come back out here and we'll do it again in the real world. And so then we're kind of always correlating back and forth between what we would see from just a return or something like that to what we would see on the test track to what we're getting from the lab.
Okay, that's all well and good, but let's face facts. I think we've all seen pictures floating around the internet of broken ENVE rims. What's up with that? Jake Pantone from ENVE doesn't shy away from answering.
When ENVE first came out, it was like, these wheels are indestructible. That was kind of the vibe that was coming out, right? And then photos started popping up of, you know, cracked rims, broken rims, and it was like, what the fuck is going on?
Just to put it in perspective, like before you came, I had our data analyst and engineering run all the numbers in terms of warranties, in terms of impact, and in the life of M Series, we've returned less than 2% of all the wheels we've ever made for impact damage. So you think of the thousands and thousands of rims, it's actually a number less than 2% that have been returned on an RA for impact damage in terms of the total amount of wheels we've sold. So, I mean, that's why people continue to buy the wheels. Most people won't break a wheel. It's the guys that ride the hardest and are the most, you know, aggressive that probably will at some point, but you know, it's also who we're designing for, and that's why we have this customer service promise that, like, yeah, we want you to ride as hard as you want. We're trying to build wheels that deliver more confidence so you can continue to push your limits, if something goes south, like we're there to cover it.
All right, so ENVE has made a more forgiving, more flat resistant, maybe even pinch flat preventing line of wheels. But there's still that giant elephant in the room. This stuff is pricey.
And I was just on my computer and I went to Alibaba a second ago and I just typed in carbon mountain bike wheel set. I could buy 4 of those wheel sets for the cost of buying one ENVE wheel set. Why are ENVE wheel sets as pricey as they are?
Every day our engineers wake up and ask themselves, how can I make the best wheel possible, right? And it's from start to finish.
We could eliminate 90% of this building and just have a warehouse that brings in product. Well, then now there really is no difference between us and the competitor. To create that cutting edge is what we strive for, to be different and to make people want to catch up and perform to where we were.
So in 2010, ENVE was really on the brink of bankruptcy. We thought we had to move to Asia as well, because that's what the bike industry does, right? You manufacture in Asia and you sell in the US. The owners came together and we looked at each other and said, we can't do this. You can only seek inexpensive labor for so long, right? Many countries, many factories just moved to Miramar, right? Well, Miramar just reported that in the last 24 hours, 6,700 Muslims were killed. Where are you going to invest your factories? Why not do it locally?
So, what did we learn? Did ENVE Composites actually create a flat pinch-proof wheel set? Well, as crazy as it sounds, it looks like they did. At least they did in their test lab on their test rig. We're going to be beating the hell out of these things over the next season, so stay tuned for that review. Hey, if you liked this video, subscribe to more here on Pinkbike. I'm Vernon Felton. I'll see you later.